Hey there, everybody. Welcome into this edition of ESPN FC's Extra Time. Steve Nicol, Alan Moreno.
Usual pal.
Yeah. Sebastian
Yeah,
Saleh.
everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Don't act like you don't love it. Just the three of us and your questions off of Twitter.
Oh.
First one from Sid, not that Sid. Is Man City overrated? 180 minutes of football and they scored just one goal. They played 4-6-0 after complaining about Atletico in the first leg. City overrated, Ale, what say you?
No, absolutely not. One of the best teams in the world. The observation is actually inaccurate. They did not play a 4-6-0.
Thinking of
What can I tell you? You can frame it however you want to frame it, but in the first game against Atletico Madrid, they were the only team to actually trying to create, trying to attack, trying to build something. And for those people that think it's easy to break a double stack of 5, which is essentially what Atletico Madrid were playing in that first leg, I just have to say that just picture a Lego, right? And how difficult it is to build a Lego. And how easy it is to knock it down. It is easier to destroy than it is to build. Atletico Madrid, for the first 90 minutes, all they were trying to do was destroy. Atletico and Manchester City were trying to build, and it just wasn't going to happen. They got their goal, and they did enough in the second leg.
You've talked a lot about it like over the last months, maybe really the whole season. We didn't really talk about it on the show. Is this another one of those games where you say, if City had a 9, they wouldn't have been sweating at the end?
From the first leg, I think maybe.
Yeah, look, I think it's obvious that generally everybody agrees that they would be a better side if they had a recognised centre forward.
Right.
And what proves that is the fact that we do know that they tried to sign Harry Kane. So they obviously know, and Pep obviously knows, if they did have a recognised centre forward, then they would be a better side.
Right.
But the way the game went,
well, they get away with it because Atleti doesn't
the way the
score.
second game went may have been different, because had they had a number 9, the service probably wouldn't have been there today, because in this game they were poor with the ball at their feet. But in the first game, then I think no question, they wouldn't have been 1 up. They would have been 2 up at least. So I don't think it affected this game. It certainly affected the first one.
But I think what they could do, if you indeed had a guy that was a number 9 that could give you some hold-up play, which should be a requirement for a number 9. Apparently it isn't nowadays, but it should be that you can provide a hold-up play, say like a Karim Benzema. When they were pressured today by Atletico Madrid, instead of trying to play out of that pressure and losing the ball right away, they could bypass that pressure and have that guy hold the ball up, and then you can bring people into the game. When you think of a number 9, you think goals and a presence inside the 10-yard box, but there's also a lot of work that goes into being that player, being able to play with your back to goal, that does relieve pressure for you when indeed somebody's trying to pressure in the midfield.
More on Real Madrid and Manchester, Real Madrid and Manchester City, Atletico and City. Stevie.
Not easy reading, is it?
No, it's not. Stevie, with a concerted plan to continually foul KDB in hopes of getting him out of the game. Actually, I kind of felt like Foden was the more targeted player today by Atleti.
I just think it was anybody in a blue
Anybody who
jersey,
moved,
to be fair.
Really?
If they had a blue jersey on, if you can't get the ball, get them.
A couple of cheap shots today.
Pretty straightforward.
The one by Felipe on Phil Foden, where he knows that he's going to win the ball, and Phil Foden is in a position where he cannot defend himself. He knew very well what he was doing, Felipe. He just measured that ball, and then in the process, he just ran right through and destroyed Phil Foden. Now, it's a cheap shot on one of the smallest guys on the field.
Yeah.
And you're Felipe and you're savage and you're picking on Phil Foden. At some point, maybe you go after somebody your own size.
Well, and you get away with it because there's no card, right?
Yeah.
So it allows you to keep doing it the rest of the game.
To be fair, they're not prejudiced. They'll kick anybody.
Right.
Well, okay. All right.
Big, small, round, thin, they don't care.
Stevie, will you send a thank you note to Diego Simeone for tiring Manchester City for 90-plus minutes twice if Liverpool wins the FA Cup?
That is about the only
semi-final?
positive thing that he's done in the semi-final of this Champions League.
You didn't have a good thing.
Them out.
You didn't have a good thing to say about him while we were watching the match.
Well, I don't think anybody could unless you're an Atletico Madrid fan, seemingly. It's funny, if we're talking about football, then I'm struggling, yes. Nothing good to say, really.
But it's hard to deny the success.
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I don't forget it.
Okay, go ahead.
As much as I hate the way his teams play, I can understand sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? But you know the biggest thing that I hate about him?
Oh, here we go.
This is the one thing that really irritates me more than all the other stuff. When something is clearly not a foul or a card or anything, and he is running up to referees and linesmen and screaming at them, when he's the only person on the entire planet. And in fact, I think he probably knows it's not even a foul, but
He's working the refs, right?
He just can't help himself.
That
Irritates. I have no problem with a coach having a go at somebody when they think they've been hard done by with a decision that is clearly yours and you don't get it. But this guy goes overboard on every single.
Yeah, but right, but and I'm with you. But he plays a part, and he knows what his role is, and he lives within that role, and has thrived within that role, in which he doesn't care what you think, what I think, what we think. He just cares about what his team is doing, fans, and the people that he thinks are supporting him, which is a handful, because part of his personality is that, and to some degree part of his magic, is to have people around Atletico Madrid, including the players, believe that everybody is against them and that everybody is rooting against them, and it's us against the world. And that's the role he plays, and he does it better than anybody else. He's on the other end of the spectrum from guys like Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola and all that stuff. He does things his own way. So in that regard, I give him credit for believing what he is, who he is, and not apologizing for it. You may like him, you may hate him, but in the end, he's gonna show up and he's gonna do exactly the same thing that we thought he was gonna do. That takes some consistency. That takes some sense of belief.
You know what I'd like to know? I'd like to know, because a lot of people, a lot of managers and players, you know, are completely different off the field than they are when they're either playing or coaching or whatever it is. You know, I've played against a lot of players who, if you meet them after the game in the bar or in the street, are the nicest people in the world.
You think he's calm?
I'd love to know.
Yeah.
But this guy certainly is, you know, as soon as he walks in that stadium, he just pulls that face off and this monster appears.
It's
I'd
interesting.
just like to know whether it's a permanent monster.
We've asked in the past if like players playing for him, you know, will buy in and all that, but it's clear from the reaction after the match today, they go out and the fans are still applauding him. Like the people that support the club have definitely like bought in on Cholo, no doubt about that. Steve,
he's got a watch.
yeah. What did you call it, the Pied Piper earlier?
He goes out for the game with a watch.
Next question, guys.
Better be a big watch.
I don't care how bad we are, you will love us.
Gab's box of shame.
Again.
Our next question, yes.
It's a big
Worried
box
for
again.
Liverpool, conceding goals from home and away, going away to the semifinals as well as the Premier League. So I guess just generally concern over Liverpool conceding the 3 today to Benfica, Stevie.
I don't think there's a huge concern, considering that 3 of the back 5 weren't playing.
That's it, right? If it was the team that played against City, you'd be worried, but it wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it was the first team, I would be slightly worried because you can, you know, 3-1 up, the tie's dead. It's easy to lose concentration, and these things can happen. But I would say though that I think we shouldn't forget that in the last wee while, it seems to me that Alisson has made a big save, a one-on-one in every game recently. That would be the only thing that I'll be a little bit concerned. I wouldn't be concerned about today in particular.
Yeah.
But just in general, that they've given everybody one of those chances at least.
The final score also doesn't really tell you the story of the game because Konate scores 20 minutes in. At that point, it's 4-1 on aggregate. You know, it's over. Stevie, this is a tough one. Who would you have as the best midfield 3 for Liverpool when everyone is healthy? It's not that tough.
Hey.
Well, you got to play Fabinho, you got to play Henderson. And after that, I don't think it's that obvious.
Who would you go with?
Oh, it's painful now. He's closing his eyes now, finding the answer.
Well, I don't think... I've been disappointed. I thought Curtis Jones would be better this year. I thought he was sort of maturing and he was getting better and better, but he seems to have hit a speed bump. I'm not sure in the big games that Thiago gets around well enough. What he does with the ball at his feet is unquestionable, but, you know, Liverpool a couple of years ago when they were pretty much unbeatable, had 3 guys in the middle of the park that got around, closed the ball, won the ball and gave it the front 3. Simple as that. Thiago can't do that. That means you're looking at Keita, who hasn't been particularly brilliant either. He's had the odd game where he's looked the part. You know, James Milner, unfortunately, time has caught up with him. He can't play a whole game or a huge part of a game in the middle of the park. So I'm actually struggling to define the best 3. 2, easy peasy, Henderson and Fabinho. The third one, I'm not so sure.
Well, but it's a question for you, Stevie. What is your answer?
He's going to have to make a choice. You should.
Well,
I guess I'm going to go with Keita because I
feel like that's your default.
I think he could get around better than Thiago. Put it that way.
Ale, is Darwin Nunez good for the Premier League? He looks like a good striker for any club, and I'm sure big clubs want him.
who's sure that big clubs want them?
Gab's box of shame again.
Okay.
Wow, really?
All right.
That's a big box.
Repeat offender.
Very active account, yes.
I think he did himself, or showed himself quite well over the 2 legs against Liverpool. Active, throws his body around, seems physical enough pace to go in behind, finish a couple of chances. So if there is a team out there looking for a striker, it won't be the top tier, it won't be the elite teams, but somebody mid-table may just take a shot at him. He seems to have a lot of the physical attributes that you equate with playing in the Premier League.
He's only 22 as well, right?
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, he's still got some growing to do, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
But you like him as a player?
Yeah. Yeah, he was unlucky today.
All right, so there you have it. Those are the questions for today's edition of Extra Time.
Hold on. So, Gap's box of shame.
Yes.
Right. That person gets 2 questions in?
Today they get 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to institute a new policy?
Only
where
10 people.
I know. I'm just saying. Is repeat offenders okay? Is that a good thing? Or
I actually think it's a mark of the quality of the question.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. So if it's about quality and those are the best ones that we got, then
ones.
so be it.
Right?
Hey, good answer. Looking after the viewer.
You
there,
like that one? Yeah, always looking out.
Okay.
That was a
just
smart
asking.
move.
Thank you.
Not like you.
Thank you, Stevie.
Come on, sir.
Well, we'll be back for tomorrow's edition of ESPN FC. Do not miss it. You boys back in studio?
When?
Tomorrow, Thursday.
No.
Nah?
Nope.
No, me either. Kay's back. Enjoy.
Hey.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and of course, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN+.